Hi again, we're back for week 2 installment of our Pantagraph Prep Preview video segment. Hi, I'm Assistant Sports Editor Joe Deacon, and joining me again this week is our venerable Sports Editor Randy Kindred. Randy, we had some pretty impressive performances and exciting contests in week 1. I think we're in for more of the same this week, don't you think so?
Yeah, and venerable is another word for old, I think.
Like, something like that.
But, yeah, I think we are. One, I know we're going to get into some other matchups, but one that kind of draws my attention is Flanagan-Cornell Woodland at home against Hayworth. Both Flanagan had to rally to win at Clinton last week. Hayworth had a big win against Lexington, and I know it's going to be a special night. Flanagan's honoring their 1974 state championship team, so there'll be kind of a festive atmosphere there, I think. So that's one game that kind of jumps out at me as a possibility. And then, of course, the game we're going to talk about here soon, U High and Central Catholic at Central.
Yeah, we've got the annual inter-city rivalry between the Corn Belt foes from the Saints and the Pioneers, and the Saints get to be at home time this time, and they actually look pretty good, even though they lost their first game, a 26-12 tight contest against Class A number 5 Washington.
Yeah, I think they'll take a lot of things away from that game that'll help them in this game. Like you said, they played Washington very tough on Washington's home field. 4 turnovers for the Saints is really the difference in the game. The Saints defense actually only gave up 10 points in that game, and so.
Yeah, and only 3 of those were after that lightning delay that forced it back a day.
Yeah, so they've got some positive things to build on, but I think the turnovers will be key in this game. They can't afford to turn it over like that again, or they'll be in the same trouble they were against Washington, I think.
Yeah, obviously the Pioneers are a very good team. They looked really impressive in their debut against Urbana. They got Nick Patkunis with 2 interceptions and 2 touchdown receptions from Nick Phelan. And a really impressive showing for the Pioneers to start.
Yeah, I mean, we expected good things from them, and they didn't disappoint in the opener. They had those 2 guys that played very well, and I know you covered that game. JoJo Hughes was terrific at running back, and so they've got a lot of good things to build on. I know the Saints will be riled up because they lost really badly to U High last year. So that'll be a motivator for them, but it should be a fun game.
Yeah, definitely. Hughes was really impressive the way he racked up 136 yards, and he was just running through piles and carrying tacklers every time. Really impressed me in that game. Moving on, one of the bigger wins last week was Normal West with a 30-23 triumph over Class 7A number 8 Belleville West, and so a really strong start for the Wildcats.
Yeah, and I think everybody will be settled in a little more over there after that win, because there was some trepidation going into that on how it would work, trying to play 2 quarterbacks with Arion Worthman and Mitch Fairfield. Both of them were effective in that game, and so I think everyone knows, yes, this can work, and they got just enough key stops on defense to beat a really good team. And so they'll go down now and play Belleville East down in Belleville, and which is coming off a win over Normal Community. So I think that'll be a terrific game.
Yeah, the 2 Unit 5 brethren get to trade opponents now with the whole situation with the change with the Big 12. So a trip down south towards St. Louis for both Normal teams. Yeah,
and Normal Community and Belleville West will both have a lot of motivation. Nobody wants to start the year 0-2, and they're both 0-1 at this point. And I know Normal Community did some good things in their game, but they were also hurt by turnovers at key times. And Josh Kirschenbaum had a pretty good game at quarterback, but there again they stalled on a couple of drives and had turnovers that could have made a difference. So making that long of a trip will be obviously a factor, but that should be a really even game, I think.
Looking back at Normal West again, you mentioned the play of both quarterbacks. They also got a big, strong running game out of Dave Watson with 118 yards on 8 carries in that one. So they've got the offense working for sure.
Yeah, when I talked to Darren Hess in the preseason, he mentioned Dave Watson had looked very good in the preseason camp and everything, and he obviously carried that right over to the game.
Yeah. So let's move back into the Corn Belt for a second. Outside of the inner city, we've got Olympia traveling to Fairbury to face Prairie Central. Tristan Ballinger led the Spartans last week to a win over St. Thomas More, while the Hawks, they had a tight 2-point loss to a ranked 2A team in Clifton Central. This could be a good one.
Yeah, I think both teams came away from that opening week probably with some good things to build on, even though Prairie Central lost. Clifton Central's traditionally been a pretty strong team, and for Prairie Central to be right there with them was probably a pretty good boost for them. Olympia, that's my alma mater. We've had some struggles over the years in football, but it's nice to see them start with a victory like that. And they had not only Ballinger, they had some other guys that ran the ball well. And so if they can do that and establish a running game, I think that would be very key, especially in Corn Belt play.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple other guys. Colin Miller for Ole had 2 TDs and 65 yards on the ground. And then for Prairie Central, they got a solid game out of Jordan Spangler at quarterback. And Sam Schugler had 13 solo tackles.
Yeah, he must have been all over the field.
He must have. Yeah. Getting back to the heart of Illinois, I know you mentioned that earlier game, but another one to watch will be Leroy at Fisher. The Bunnies ran to a 22-0 win over Ridgeview, and the Panthers had a good ground attack and an 18-10 win over GCMS. So this could be another good one.
Yeah, and this is a game where both teams love to run the ball, and Fisher had 2 good running backs last year who were only sophomores, Aaron Carter and Conrad Thomas. They're back, and both had good games the first week. Leroy's got several options with Bryce Dooley and Lane Lindstrom and guys like that. So I expect that to be probably a touchdown game one way or the other. I think it'll be a tight game, and Fisher will be somewhat fired up there. They're having a special ceremony to celebrate the finishing of their new track and stadium. It's been a real community effort, and so they'll have a little extra motivation too.
Yep, definitely another one to watch for in the heart of Illinois. So that's going to wrap it up for our Week 2 segment. We appreciate you watching, and be sure to check the Pantagraph on Saturday or Pantagraph.com for results from all of Friday night's games. Thanks for watching.